crappie anglers across the country, a jig and minnow combination is the rig of choice. Most crappie chasers utilize this technique in the spring, when staging pre-spawn and spawning fish are relatively easy. Crappie expert Steve McAdams extends his crappie fishing to include the entire fishing season. Here's Steve on Kentucky Lake to show you his midsummer live bait crappie tactics.
We get one in and get the other one in a minute. Oh, look at that. Nice big mouth on that baby. I got one on the float too, if I can grab it and get it out of the way. Look here. Ooh, there's a male crappie, a little darker. Well, summer crappie, here's one of the reasons that we got out of bed today. And you know, whether you're in Minnesota, Tennessee, or Florida, or Georgia, regardless where you are across the country, big slab crappie like this can be taken in the summer months if you're willing to back off the bank and fish different techniques. And that's what we want to show you today, is several different ways to catch good slab crappie, even in the summertime. And as you can see in the background, we're on a big, huge reservoir here, and water temperatures are almost in the 80, 82 degree range already. But you know, your crappie just don't drop and disappear. They're still in your reservoir all summer long, all fall, all winter, if you're willing to do different techniques. So today we're going to show you several different ways to find the same old fish. And you got to back away from the banks, fish different rigs, live minnows, jigs, read a map, look at a depth finder, and we're going to show you all that here in just a minute. There's some structure beginning to come up on the sonar right there. You can see from a clear bottom all of a sudden now I'm getting a good reading, 12 or 13 feet, and there's structure coming up 3 or 4 feet up off the bottom. So that's what I'm looking for. I want to find structure. In summer as well as other seasons of the year, the crappie are going to be very structure oriented, and you've got to find a cover, because he likes to hide in the structure and ambush his prey. In this case, threadfin, gizzard shad, or whatever, alewife probably if you're in the northern states. And the fish likes to hide and ambush his prey, so structure relation is very, very important. If you're 5 or 6 feet away from that stump or that brush pile, you're probably not going to find a fish. But you get right in that structure and literally bump the cover and hang up a little bit, that's where you're going to catch your crappie. So you got to present the bait to them on their terms, find a structure, and you've got to learn how to read your LCR and know when you're there. I'm using a slip bobber rig here, as you've seen earlier, on catch a fish or two already on it. And let me describe the rig to you. It's nothing more than a braided monofilament with a fairly heavy barrel sinker there above a barrel swivel. And if you look on the business end, I've got clear monofilament line because I don't want the fish to see the line color. And I use a braided line above the bobber because I can regulate my depth by sliding this little bead that you see right here. I'll pull it down here for you. See, I can regulate my depth and slide my little orange bead up and down the line. I can go from 5 feet to 10 feet, 12 feet, whatever I want to do. I'm fishing it on a 10-foot telescopic pole, but the theory being that the bobber slides right to the bobber stop, as you see right here. And sometimes I'm fishing 10 or 12 feet deep over 15, 18 foot of water. The crappie might be suspended slightly up over the structure right at the very top of it. That being the case, I think the fish will come up to take a bait much easier than he'll go down to take a bait. But basically speaking, he doesn't want to move too much either way. So by fishing a slip bobber and dragging it along as we're tight lining, I want to catch that suspended crappie with the slip bobber, and the fish is down tight in the cover, and I'll catch him on the vertical fishing pole in my hand.
Slip bobbers are a great tool for fishing almost any live bait. You can present the bait vertically in a wide range of depths. Whether you're fishing leeches, worms, insects, or minnows, this live bait presentation really produces for almost any game fish.
You know, I often tip a jig with a minnow in hot weather crappie fishing because I think it enhances the bait. Let me show you a little trick on hooking the minnow. It's important that you come under his bottom lips, right here, right through the top of it, like so. That way it keeps him in a natural swimming motion. As you can see, he flops around fine. When you got him in the water, he's doing a natural swimming motion, trying to right himself. That's a lot better than hooking him through the tail or through the eye where he's crooked. So it makes the jig hang right. Uh-oh, pardon the interruption. And sometimes you get the results like this right here. Even though this one's not a monster, we let him go. You know, when you're fishing a jig with a minnow, a lot of people have a tendency to move the bait too much. And even though you've got a live minnow on the jig already, so you don't have to shake it a lot. You don't have to yo-yo it, move it around a lot. I give the example that, imagine that you've got a tip of water right on your rod tip, and all you want to do is shake that tip of water, that drop of water off. So just a twitching, stopping, twitching, stopping. I put my line through my middle finger and index finger right along the rod. I twitch it, stop it. Twitch it and stop it. And all I'm trying to do is flare the skirt. I want that skirt doing just like my fingers, just a little bit of lifelike motion. That's all it takes. It doesn't take a lot of yo-yo hammering motion to it, because that's not the natural movement of a minnow anyway. So remember that. Don't try to move it too much. Just twitch it, stop it, twitch it and stop it. Watch your rod tip, watch your line, and the fish will do the rest. You know, one of the most common questions among crappie anglers all across the country is, what is the best color? On today's program, I'm using a chartreuse with glitter in it, as you see here, putting on an 1/8 ounce lead head, for example. But you know, there is no perfect color, and I would encourage you to keep several different colors in your tackle box unless the fish decide which one he likes the best. As you can see right here, I've got 12 or 15 different colors in this box, and a lot of days I'll change colors 2 or 3 times during the course of the day. Maybe the sunlight goes in, maybe it's cloudy conditions. I use a very loud fluorescent type lead head sometimes in muddy, dingy water. Today I'm using a chartreuse lead head and a chartreuse grub with a little bit of red in it. But I believe colors make a difference, and painted fluorescent lead heads, pink, red, chartreuse, and muddy, dingy water. Clear water, dull, subdued colors like a motor oil, clear with sparkle in it. Very dull colors in clear water is kind of a rule of thumb. So try that next time you go. But most of all, keep several colors in there. Let the fish decide which one he likes the best. Another popular technique for finding summer crappie is fishing deep water in ledges or sandbars or drop-offs. Here's a technique that I've used for many, many years. It works great. For fishing deep water crappie, it has a bell sinker on the bottom, as you see me tying on right here, about a 1 ounce size. I've got fairly heavy monofilament on here, and I'm going to show you why in just a second. Tie the knot of your choice around your bell sinker, about a 1 ounce bell sinker, real taut, cinch it down. I'll make a double loop in the line right here for my first hook, kind of a snell type looking hook. About a 6-inch drop loop. I come around my finger 1 time. Same thing again. There's my original loop right here. I'm gonna come back through that right there again. Same thing twice, and I cinch it down pretty tight, pretty taut. Now I use a 1/0 to 2/0 light wire hook. I use a bronze hook. I use a light wire eagle claw hook because I want it to bend and straighten out. That's the reason I use a fairly heavy monofilament. It's an old cliche among crappie anglers that if you're not hung up, you're not in the right place. And that has a lot of merit in summertime crappie fishing. Now, about 18 inches above my sinker is my first hook. The loop's kind of standing out away from the line. Another 18 inches above that is a second hook, a double hook, tight line rig. You see how the loop kind of stands out away from the line there. It's made to fish live minnows. And I'll bait up a minnow right here and show you what it looks like, because you want the minnow swimming out away from the line. Once you hold the line taut, you can see the minnow kind of stands out away from it like so, and he'll swim around and do his thing. And the purpose of a double hook bottom bumping rig is when you're fishing a stump, 18, 20, 25 foot of water, stump, brush pile, treetop, whatever, but let's say the minnow bucket here is a stump. If the crappie's holding real tight to the root of the stump, then the bottom hook will be the most effective in that scenario. You're bumping along, probing the bottom, the sinker kind of becomes your eyes. So once I bump a stump, then my bottom hook is right there close to the fish. If the crappie is close to the roots or right at the top of the stump, the bottom hook will catch him. If it's a suspended situation where he's way above the cover, then that top minnow might be the most effective. Because it's always been my theory that a crappie will come up to take a bait. He won't go down and take one, but basically speaking, he's not going to go too much either way. So we're going to present the bait to him on his terms. That's the purpose of a double hook rig. Now, if you catch 2 fish at one time, well, that's just a bonus. That happens sometimes. Let me show you another quick tip about hooking a minnow on here. I like to go through the eyes or lips or either one. Some people go through the back, I know on a minnow, but the reason I like to go through the front of the minnow, around the eyes or the lips, either one, is because when you're pulling him through the water, he's got his natural swimming motion. If you hook him through the back or the tail, and he's kind of bent and coming through cover, and he'll hang up a lot worse. And you can see what I mean in the water right here. You see how natural that minnow swims around right on the very bottom. See, he's got a natural swimming motion. He's looking pretty enticing right there, and that's the way he looks when he's right down in front of that stump. Then he's going to do his thing right there. Watch when you put him through the water. Ooh, there's a fish right there. Look at that. Right on the bottom hook. He's close to the cover. Well, this kind of illustrates the double hook rig, as you can see here. This fish here was on the bottom hook. Sometimes they'll hit the top. You never know which one if they're suspended, but the rig kind of got it started in the old days before depth finders. The old guys here on Kentucky Lake didn't have depth finders, and they came out here looking for the creek channels and the ledges and the sloughs, and once that sinker touches the stump of the cover, just like we're doing right here, then you got the bait right in front of the fish, and pow, right there he is.